Hi, everybody. It's Craig and Arun back with your NFL Week 6. Week 6 games. We got a nice little slate of games. We did pretty well last week. Let's make it another winning week. Don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you get in on our 10% off code to get all of our stuff. Go 10% off Taco Win 10, as it is here on the screen, to get your 10% off. So get our football pass for the weekend for just $99. Makes it $89. If you want the top plays, instead of 30, they become 27. So use that promo code TACOWIN10. Also, for new customers, we got something special for you. You get a free $60 account. Use this link on the screen, docsports.com/ICCT. Get you a free $60. Use it however you like. Okay, IC, let's kick us off. This is the early game, Tottenham Stadium again this week. We've got Denver and the Jets. The Jets will be the home team on the scoreboard over there. Broncos -7.5, total 43.5. Broncos couldn't be coming off a higher game. Is there an overlooked spot here?
Well, these two teams actually played last year, and it was close. Denver won 10-9. Jets, of course, lost to Dallas 22-37, and here begins the free fall, right? They're 0-5 at this point. They lost to Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, and Dallas. If they were going to win any games, it was that Miami and Dallas game, and they couldn't win those two games. They did, last three games for the Jets, they put up 27, 21, 22, which isn't that bad. They always seem to score late, though. They put up another 16 points in the fourth quarter. You had Justin Fields, 32 for 46, 283, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. They still believe in him, it seems. And then you have Denver here coming off the huge win against Philadelphia and Cincinnati. Denver's only 3-2, though. They did lose to the Chargers and Colts, but by a total of 4 points, so don't hold that against them. And just a monster win by Denver, right? 18 points in the fourth quarter. You're down, 17-3 going to the fourth quarter. And then the Eagles coughed that up. Maybe that's why the Eagles are going to be super ticked off coming into this week. As well. But I also thought the Giants, when losing to the Saints, will motivate them too. That's why we took the under. But with Bo Nix here, he went 24-39, 242 yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions last game. I think what happens here is that you're going to see – I just think Denver is going to start off faster. I just do. And the opportunity – I mean, you're down 17-3, and you're not going to think to yourself, man, we really should, shape up or else we're going to get trucked. Because that was one of the slowest starts that Denver has had all year. Like the Bengals game, for example, they started off to a 21-3 lead by the halftime, or even the Chargers game, they were down 7-10, but they played a pretty good second half. I think what happens here is that you're going to see, and even against Indianapolis, they were up 21-20. They're going to start fast, dude. And I just don't have any faith in the Jets at this point. The Jets consistently start slow. 3 points. They're good at making adjustments, it seems, but 3 points in the first half against Dallas. Against the Miami game, they had 3 points in the first half against Miami. Against the Tampa Bay game, they had 6 points in the first half and then 20 points in the second half. It's always a slow start and then a big comeback when it's useless. There's only one way for me to look at this game, and that's going to be the Broncos. I just think they're going to bounce back and not start off so slow. So give me the Broncos -7.5. All right, Craig. The LA Rams here are on the road against Baltimore. LA is a -7.5 point favorite. Coming into this game, LA, of course, lost that game against San Francisco in a game that Coach McVay really blames himself a lot for losing that contest, 23-26. They had beaten the Colts 27-20 before that. So they're sitting at 3-2 right now. Baltimore, of course, comes off one of the worst losses and one of the worst back-to-back losses in Harbaugh's career, losing to Houston and Kansas City. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They're 1-4 at this point. It's 7.5 point dog. This could be one of those years where Baltimore might start. If they lose a few more, they just might throw it in here and get a high draft pick. Who do you like here between the Rams and the Ravens?
Yeah, this line tells you that Lamar's probably out again. Once again, last week people were bagging on us. We record this on Tuesday, and people say, why? It's called editing and stuff. It takes a long time to put all these football plays together. So to be able to do that for you guys, we have to do it earlier in the week. If the lines move, always put it in the comments, and we can tell you what if our opinions change, or maybe we even say sometimes you just don't bet the game, guys. But this game screams a bounce back for Baltimore, I think. I just think Baltimore has too many good players, too much depth to play as poorly as they are. But I think the stronger play, the one thing they haven't been able to do is stop anybody. The overs are 5-0 so far with Baltimore. I think this game goes over again. The Rams, we know this team can score. And I thought last week they didn't really take advantage of the talent they have on the field. San Francisco played a perfect game and beat them. But I think this week you'll see the Rams be able to push the ball down the field a little more. I mean, Cooper Kupp and Adams were unbelievable in the second half. They didn't really use them enough in the first half. I think this one they do. I do think the Ravens score some points again. in this one. So let's go the over 44.5, as I think the Ravens over trend continues in this one. If you like a team total over, maybe the Rams with the single team total, maybe is even a little stronger play. Now, the next game, Arizona at Indianapolis. That is the worst loss I've ever seen. Not just against the spread, but ever. I mean, Arizona, literally, the guy's going in the end zone, fumbles into the end zone. Then they intercept it. The guy fumbles, and it ends up a touchdown the other way. It was like it's like a 21-point swing, basically, in like a 5-minute stretch. It was terrible beat. But they're facing a Colts team that's really good here. What do you like here in this one?
Yeah, that was one of the worst losses I've ever seen. And you got to give Coach Gannon a lot of credit because they asked him like what he thought. And he was like, it doesn't come down to one play. What a player's coach. You know what I mean? Didn't throw him under the bus. Didn't do anything like that. It's just a high-end player's coach, and that really surprised me. I think Arizona does well in this game. And keep in mind that the Colts ownership, the woman that's the owner, right, Israel's daughter that's the owner of the Colts, she took a lot of flack for being on the sideline with the headset and everything else. They're 4-1. Okay. She's basically like, I want to know everything that you're doing. I want to be in your business. Yep. And that's worked because she's like, we're not going to, I think in the past, I think she realized her father was so hands off that these guys were just screwing around and they weren't doing anything good. And she's like, I'm going to be the exact opposite. And that those Midwestern values, whatever it might be, it's clicking here. So Arizona lost 21-22 against Tennessee, lost 20-23 against Seattle, lost 15-16 against San Francisco. Man, this is the same thing that happened last year. This team has lost by about 5 points over the last 3 games total. So, I mean, you have a team that's sitting at 2-3. Indianapolis, of course, comes off their best win against Vegas. They could have a letdown here. I could see that happen. But, of course, Indianapolis, when they get pushed to the limit, when they get a really competitive game, games tend to go over. 29-28 Denver, 41-20 Tennessee, 20-27 against LA even. That went over too. It went to at least 47 at this mark, what that's listed at this game. I think Arizona has to play better. You've lost 3 straight. You lose a terrible game. I think they're going to put their entire heart in. Indianapolis comes in coming off their biggest win. And I think I could see a field goal loss maybe, but I like the 6.5 quite a bit here. I'm going to take Arizona plus the 6.5.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on all the great content we have here at Doc Sports.
All right, Craig, Dallas is better than we thought. Maybe Dallas is minus 3.5 against Carolina here. They're coming at 2-2-1. Dallas has been in every game, Craig. It's a team that should have beaten Philadelphia probably. They were right there. They lost to Chicago. That was one bad game. They tied against Green Bay. And, of course, they beat the Jets. So 2-2-1 is not bad at all. And their win total in Vegas was only 7.5 to begin with, if you remember. Carolina comes in at 2-3. And Lord behold, they beat my Falcons 30-0. Now they beat Miami 27-24. They lost New England badly, but they bounced back, of course. And quite honestly, they played pretty well against, Arizona as well and Jacksonville. They've covered most of their games. So Dallas coming in off of a nice win. Carolina coming in off of a nice win. Total sits around 49, which is pretty high. Most of the public, of course, on Dallas to a tune of 69%. Who do you like?
Yeah, that Carolina game, they had to come back in the second half, but it really was due to Young had a bad turnover, a bad interception back-to-back. All of a sudden, instead of being up, they were down 14 points early. So they can't do that this game because Miami Dolphins are bad. I don't think that's the case. I think Dallas is a middle team. So to beat a Dallas team that can score, even without CeeDee Lamb last week, they scored. Now, who do they beat? I get you. But you still, in the NFL, to go on the road and win is impressive. It doesn't matter who you do it to. As much as I want to take the underdog Carolina, and by the way, their 2 wins are both at home, which shouldn't be surprising how much better they playing at home. I like Dallas here minus the 3.5. I also think the over is a good play. I mean, Dallas they scored 37, 40, 14, 40, and 20 this year. All their wins, well, their tie as well. They've scored 37 plus. So when they win, they continue to score. So, hey, I don't say parlay very often. This is one of those, if A happens, B should happen. So I think if you get a win by Dallas, it will be a high-scoring game. So let's do what we call a correlated parlay in the business. Let's take Dallas minus the points. Let's take the over. I think both hit here and pay us off a nice little pizza money parlay, as they say, as Detroit Lenny says. Next game we're looking at, the Patriots are coming off the best win since Tom Brady left, in my opinion. I mean, it was a very good win against a Buffalo team that was undefeated at the time. And now it's like, man, if New England didn't stub their toe and they didn't play great in the opener against Vegas, they'd be tied with Buffalo, but they're one game back right now, 3-2. They are favored here, -3.5 at the Saints. We're going to see how good a coach Vrabel is, because this is the ultimate letdown spot in this one. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean the Saints. We've seen this do this a couple times now, right? Last week they were -1 favorite against the Giants when the Giants came off a big win, and now you're going to see, now you're seeing them, New England, as a -3.5 point chalk as they beat the best team in the league, arguably coming on the road to face one of the worst teams in the league. I don't know. It's obvious that the odds makers think that the Saints are getting better. And the Saints winning 26-14, but the Saints have been getting better, right? They did lose to Buffalo 19-31. Yeah, they had that bad loss against Seattle, but San Francisco, they were competitive. Arizona, they were competitive. So, and to be honest with you, they've consistently put the Saints as a small dog. I think a +6 home dog to Arizona was some sort of respect a little bit. I think +3 dog against San Francisco home dog was some sort of respect. This is a +3.5 dog for comparison. The Seattle was a bad loss, of course. And then the Buffalo 14.5 point dog. You knew I was big on that. I was like, they're going to cover that game. And, down 26-14, beating the Giants. What I found most interesting about this game is the fact that the total sits at 46, right? I think this Patriots offense is better than advertised. I mean, they put up 33 against Miami, 42 against Carolina, 23 against Buffalo. And, in that Buffalo game, they came back to put up 17 in the second half. I think what happens here is that I like the over. I can see New Orleans is an active dog, similar, like last time. But the difference is the Patriots like to score. And so I think they'll push the tempo. I like the fact that this game sits at 46. I wouldn't even be surprised if this is like a 26-24 type of game and it gets to 50 points, right? Because the Giants can't score, right? The Giants don't have a receiver. The Patriots have receivers. So I think that's the difference here. And therefore, I like if the Giants, who doesn't have a receiver right now, passing for 199 yards, imagine what the Patriots can do. Just to give you an example, when the Patriots face Buffalo, their wide receiving, Diggs had 10 he had 10 receptions. They had at least 4 guys who had at least 3 targets, right? And each one of them had at least a long of 10 yards. So I like the over in this game between these two teams, not to mention the fact that Jeff Kellenmore was an offensive-minded coach. Give me the over. All right, Craig, Seattle coming in here against the newly minted Jaguar contenders. Jaguars are sitting at 4-1 at this point, and Seattle is at 3-2. I feel like we thought that Seattle would be the Jacksonville of sorts, and now Jacksonville, first-year coach. People are excited in Jacksonville. I know several people in Jacksonville that are like, I think this team can really do something. Bring in a new coach, bring in a player like Hunter, and there you go. Seattle coming off that tough loss against Tampa Bay. They had covered 3 in a row before that. They are 3-2 with Coach McDonald. Jacksonville, of course, having won 3 straight, beating Houston, who throttled the Ravens, beating San Francisco, who's Shanahan, beating Kansas City. But they do say that Coach Cohen steals signs. He comes from that sign-stealing tree, according to Coach Saleh of San Francisco. They say he steals signs. They do shady stuff. I think it's very funny. Whatever it is, they're sitting at basically a pick 'em here against the Seahawks as they come off a loss. Who do you like?
Seattle's got 2 of the more impressive losses, to be honest. Tampa Bay is really, really good, and they were in an absolute shootout, back and forth. It was kind of like the last person with the ball was going to win, pretty much what happened. And, so you have to be impressed. The other loss was early in the year, real close loss to the 49ers. That game could have went either way. And this team could be undefeated. Sam Darnold, if you take away what he did with the Jets, you'd have to be like, man, Sam Darnold, what has he done last year and this year? Granted, the playoff game wasn't great, but he has put up some unbelievable numbers, and their offense looks great. I did not expect that. I thought he would be more of a game manager type. Then you get the Jags that they've done everything other than beating my Bengals when they turned the ball over a little too much. They're the number 1 team in the league turning the ball over and on turnover, plus minus margin. That's how they beat it was the interception for a touchdown was the game. If the Chiefs score that, it's a 14-point swing. Chiefs still had the lead late, still was covering, and Trevor Lawrence, as much as I bagged on him the last few weeks, he did what he's supposed to do. Now, he still had 2 delay of games that were just like bonehead plays on him. You cannot do that. He still, at times, he just missed, he missed a guy, ETN, that was out in the flat that should have been a touchdown early in the game. They ended up kicking a field goal. He does some dumb things, but, I have to give him credit. Beating the Chiefs is on Monday Night Football. But there's a saying that Robert has here with us. It's win on Monday, lose on Sunday. It's just so hard to get back up, especially when you're beating the Chiefs. I think this is an obvious look over spot. I'm taking Seattle here +1. I think there's a lot of respect. I kind of thought this line would be 2.5 to 3. But they're only getting 1. That's given a lot of respect to the Seattle team. I think for good reason. I like Seattle coming off that loss, +1 here. Jags flying high. I think they get cut down at the knees, as they say. Let's take Seattle.
How's it? Sign up for our free $60 of the premium selections, which is docsports.com/ICCT. You get free $60 of the premium selections so you can try us out. It's the best way to kind of thank us for all the hard work that we do, along with liking and subscribing and joining on YouTube Premium.
Next game, Harbaugh kind of hit a little skid here, but can they get it right against Miami? Chargers at Miami. Chargers favored by 4, total 43. Miami's 1-4 on the year, and probably luckily they get to face the Jets. They're probably going to get their 2 wins this year against the Jets. What do you like here?
Well, remember when they lost their offensive lineman? People are like, well, they seem to have figured it out, even though they lost their offensive lineman, et cetera. I think now teams, after they see a lot of tape, remember, keep in mind, these teams are really smart coaches. They watch so much tape. People don't realize how much of a student of the game you have to be. That's why all these coaches are always on Mountain Dew and they have a belly. They don't go anywhere. And they just sit and watch tape all day and figure out what you're doing to try to counter and to win. It really is. Football is really, yes, it's football. It's athletic. It's testosterone. It's skill, but it's a lot of chess. And there's a lot of brain knowledge that goes in from a wide receiver coach to a running back coach to an O-line coach to a D-line coach to a quarterback coach. There's so much chess that goes on in football that people don't realize. You know what I mean? Because and telling the guys how to run the play and the coverages and the schemes, football is really an intelligent game. You know what I mean? Which I don't.
Well,
I mean,
they have 8 coaches. There's a reason for that, right?
Right. So people just think, oh, it's football. You just run down and run a post. Each player focuses on what they need to do, which is part of the cog. But if you're like the main coach and head coaches, you have so many moving parts, and that's why the quarterback is so important. That's why one quarterback can change everything. Basically, you get more efficiency out of every player because you're just putting them in better situations to do well. I mean, the most important people in a football team is the head coach, in my opinion, is the DC, the OC, and the quarterback. So if you change any one of those 4, a team can really change quickly. So here's the thing. So the offensive lineman situation, I think that, obviously you have tackles and stuff that make a huge difference. Look, the loss for the Chargers against Washington wasn't that much of a surprise because we talked about it here and we actually leaned on Washington. We said if Jaden's probably going to play, and you called it, you said Jaden's going to play, and that's why this line hasn't moved, and that's exactly what happened, right? And the Chargers, of course, Herbert, 22 for 29, 166 yards. But, Harbaugh is all about getting physical, right? He wants his team to be more physical. That's how he won a title in Michigan. So now this team comes off back-to-back losses to the Giants and to Washington. And by the way, let's just take a point here and say how much parity is in the league right now, which is great for football. It's great for the NFL with constant upsets. The Dolphins, of course, come off that loss to Carolina, but I don't think that's a bad loss. That loss to Carolina is getting better. Tua, threw for 27 for 36, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. He played a good game. Bryce is now the quarterback of the future, it seems, of this team, and he's figured it out, almost 200 yards last game. And, so I think what probably happens in this game, look, the Chargers are struggling. Miami comes off back. They come off a loss to Carolina. They did beat the Jets. They played pretty well against Buffalo, to be quite honest. And that loss against New England looks pretty darn good now, losing 27-33. And quite frankly, that loss to the Colts looks pretty good too, losing 8-33. It doesn't look that bad now. And the Chargers coming off back-to-back losses, but they do have quality wins over Denver and Vegas. This is a tough game. I will tell you the Chargers have gone under the last 4 games. And these Dolphins have gone over the last 3 games. I think the Chargers are going to score more than 18 and 10 points. They're going to have to open it up a little bit. I think that total sitting at 43 is interesting too. But I think who do you want to take here? Who do you trust? Sometimes when it's so many things going on, keep it simple. Harbaugh off of back-to-back losses, and that's going to matter. Harbaugh off of his team scoring 10 points, and they didn't score the last 3 quarters of that game. Okay? I think that's far more frustrating than a Miami team that's given up 33, 33, 31, 21, and 27. I think this is going to be a drag-out game, and I can see this team winning by 6. I can see something like 22-16 type of random game, and I'm going to take the Chargers. All right, Craig, Cleveland hooking up against Pittsburgh here. Cleveland is a +5 dog. They are 1-4. They played pretty well against Minnesota, but still fell short. They lost to Detroit as well. Pittsburgh, of course, sitting at 3-1 now. I think Tomlin and Rodgers, and really an odd couple, but they're seeming to make it work. They beat Minnesota. They beat New England. That New England win looks pretty darn good now, too. Basically, Aaron Rodgers is the associate head coach of this team as the quarterback, right? And you have Tomlin, who's the defensive coordinator. So that's basically what's going on. Tomlin just focuses on the D, and he lets Aaron focus on the O, and that's why this is working. And so you have a 3-1 team here versus a 1-4 team here. But surprisingly, it's only -5. Pittsburgh did win 27-14. What do you think here?
There's two things I like. I always kind of lean towards teams coming back off of buys, depending on how their coach does off of buys. And we have the Steelers coming off a bye. We also have Pittsburgh, or another team is teams coming back without buys that are coming back from these overseas games, and that is what the Browns are. So these both coming together leads me. I normally in a division, the division, Steelers, Browns, Steelers, Ravens games are always close. Like no matter what the records of the team for whatever reason, but I still can't take the Browns here because a rookie quarterback in his second match after coming back from London facing a rested Mike Tomlin, dude, he's known that they're facing a rookie quarterback for over a week. I have to take the Steelers. I'm going to lean towards the first half more than the full game, even though I do like the full game. I just think the Steelers will confuse the rookie early in this one. Probably get a touchdown off of basically their defense, even though it's maybe not direct. Sometimes you don't just score off, you don't get the pick six or the fumble return, but you get it one backed up and then 1 or 2 plays later you score. So let's take the first half Pittsburgh. I think it's like -3 out there. I think that's a stronger play. If you full game, I still like it at -5, even though, like I said, these games are usually a little closer than expected. I just think off a bye, the Steelers are just going to be too much facing a rookie quarterback coming back from London. Next game we have, I think this is a pretty good matchup, better than what people thought. The Titans finally got off the schneid. I mean, after a win like that, it can really propel a team, especially a young team. And you face a Raiders team that's pretty desperate. After the opening win against a good New England team, they have not been great. 1-4. The Raiders are 5-point favorite, total 41.5. What do you like on the two teams with 1-4 records?
Well, look, the Raiders or the Titans come off that nice, exciting win, right? 22-21. You're right. It's a game that they never should have won, but it could propel them. Calvin Ridley broke out 131 yards. Brock Bowers is listed as week to week as well. So, I mean, Geno struggled. He's had 9 interceptions so far, which Tennessee's probably going to exploit as well. So these are all important points to note. And Tennessee, yes, they lost to Houston badly. And that Indianapolis loss doesn't look that bad now, 20-41. The Rams loss isn't that bad, and neither is the Broncos loss. So there's a lot of reason to be hopeful if you're Tennessee. The only thing is that Vegas lost 6-40 against the Colts, so they could show up here. But they lost to the Bears, the Washington, and the Chargers. I think that obviously Tennessee won a couple years ago, but it doesn't matter right now. I was impressed with how Tennessee played, but I don't know if they just got lucky, man. They were down 21-6 in that game, and then they gave up 16 points they scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. They were handed that win. Cam Ward didn't play exceptionally well. He went 21 for 39, 265 yards, and 1 interception. He didn't throw a touchdown. So that kind of worries me a little bit. And then you have a Vegas team that just got throttled. Okay, I mean this is a team that 228 yards for Geno, 2 interceptions. So I thought that I'm surprised that this line isn't like -3. I mean, you're going to put the Saints as a 3-point dog to the Patriots, but you're going to put the Vegas, who's 1-4, as a 5-point chalk against the Titans coming off of a win. I think Tennessee doesn't know how to handle success yet. And I think this will be Pete Carroll's best coaching job coming off the absolute worst loss of his tenure at Vegas. I know they're banged up. Geno's got to play better. This team did only lose by 1 point to Chicago at home in a game that Vegas was up 14 to.
They missed the field goal too to win at the buzzer.
So I think that Chicago loss is a quality loss. It should have been a quality win. So I'm going to back Vegas here to bounce back minus this. Like, am I going to mortgage my house? Probably not. I think Vegas is probably the right side here, especially if you're in a pick'em league. It's probably the right side here.
Forget about the premium products we have at YouTube. We have 3 levels of premium. Level 1 is Lenny's video every day, $4.99. Plus, you get early access to all the football, and we do some live content that's exclusive to our members. Level 2 is Indian Cowboy, where you get extra plays from Indian Cowboy every day, video format. and you can talk to them back and forth. And then level 3, you get all 3 levels. Level 2, you actually get level 1 as well. So you get all 3 levels as you move up, and you get 3 expert plays every day from Doc Sports Experts, one of them being from me. So make sure you check that out. Very simple, $49.99 a month for the level 3.
All right, Craig, San Francisco hooking against Tampa Bay. San Fran, 3-point dog. I always think San Fran loses every week, but I forget they somehow managed to win. They're 4-1, but doesn't it feel like they're all like 2-3 type of vibe? All these ugly games, but they're 4-1, and Tampa Bay is 4-1. San Fran managed to win against the Rams, 26-23. Their only loss is to the Jaguars, which looks pretty good. They beat Seattle, New Orleans, Arizona, the Rams. But I can tell you that Tampa Bay is not going to hand it to them like some of these other teams. Tampa Bay, of course, comes off that big win against Seattle. And they were right there against the Eagles, beat the Jets, Houston, and Atlanta. 2 4-1 teams, Craig. These 2 teams met last year with San Francisco winning by a field goal. San Francisco won by a field goal in 2023 with Todd Bowles coaching at the helm there too. San Fran has beaten this team the last 4 years with Bowles as the head coach. They're as minus 3-point chalk here. Both teams, again, off of a win total 47.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, in between the numbers, if you watch the San Francisco game, as good as Mac Jones played, which was, he played probably best game of his career, and against a good Rams team. The Rams fumbled going into late in that game. They fumbled on the 1-yard line. That should have been a touchdown. The Rams probably should have won that game. But, you make your own breaks in the NFL. Turnovers are almost always, if you win the turnover battle, you win the game. And San Francisco's been doing that consistently this year. The problem is they're facing a Bucs team that kind of has the same MO. And the Bucs are playing great. Their only loss is to Philly. And they played right down to the wire in that game. I think the Bucs, they've got a couple. It's like a double revenge spot for the Bucs. The Bucs I think Seattle's really good. And to win in Seattle, 12th man, all that is extremely hard. I think Baker and company, they're banged up. I know. They're just it's plugged the next guy in, next man up. And Baker's one of those guys. Don't bet against him. This guy is Cleveland's still got to be what? How did you've been looking for the quarterback for the future for 40 years since Bernie Kosar, and you had the guy. He gets you the playoffs, and then you get rid of him anyway, and look what Baker's done.
God, man, I forgot about that. He took him to the playoffs, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's take him. Hey, let's take you. Get on the back, Cleveland fans and everybody else. Get on the back of Baker Mayfield. Fun guy to watch. Fun team to watch. To be very honest,
I'll tell you what. It's something that goes understated on Baker is his durability. He's 30 years old.
And he's always get banged up too. He just finds a way.
His maturity is equaling his talent level, right? I mean, he was never like Johnny Manziel. I mean, I saw Johnny Manziel, a clip of him talking to Ty Simpson after the Alabama game against Vandy. Johnny looks sick. He just looks, you know what I mean? But Baker always looks like he takes care of his body. He's a professional. I'm pretty sure they're almost same age. Yeah, Johnny's 32, Baker's 30, right? Yep. And this just shows how important it is to be a professional, dude. Talent is great, but if you don't have the work ethic, and Saban talked about it recently too in College Game Day, if you don't have the discipline, you just can't do it. You can be very, very talented, but there's so much more that goes into developing a player than just talent. And Baker has done that. It's durable. These guys play for him too, dude. He's the unquestioned leader of this team.
For a small guy, it's the guy is just a competitor. It's when you used to watch Michael Jordan, they just willed his team to win. It's Baker's not Michael Jordan, but this dude, and he can throw the ball. The other day I saw he threw a 60-yard out, without taking a 3-step running start. It was just one step, boom, 60 yards. The guy has arm talent, and I think it'll show here again. Let's take him minus the points. Guy that I really root for. So speaking of the team I root for, unfortunately, this Bengals team is bad. I mean, I said last week, if you just played the team total over anytime the Bengals defense is on the field, I think you'd hit every week other than the Browns week. Green Bay's favored by 15, deserving favorite, total 44. I don't know if you could set this line high enough to get action on the Bengals, to be honest.
Here we go. All right, so the Bengals here, obviously they lost 24-37 against Detroit and losing 3-28 against the Broncos, 10-48 against Minnesota. They've lost 3 straight here. It looked like it was going to be okay, and then it all fell apart. So, again, Jake Browning is the quarterback here. You have Christian Watson here, who's likely to come back from injury. Seems like a lot of points here. I didn't think the Bengals played that bad I know you're not as high on them, but I thought, but then again, you were right in the sense that they put up 21 points in the fourth quarter. So it kind of hit some things there. Browning threw for the funny thing about Jake, man, he throws a lot of touchdowns, but he throws a lot of interceptions too, like consistently, week in and week out. He throws interception after interception, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Green Bay comes in off of that tie, and they're going to be pissed off of that tie because they really felt like they should have won that game. But then again, they did not show up, dude. They just were not prepared, to be honest with you. Green Bay threw for 325 yards. They rushed for 164 yards. You had a quarterback that threw for 337, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. But then Prescott did the same thing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think, Green Bay is just going to be really, really ticked coming into this game because now you have a Green Bay team that lost to the Browns 10-13, that tied the Cowboys. They are sitting at 2-1-1. We're heading into week 5, right? And Green Bay has 2 wins. So this is a team that's going to be really ticked off coming in, and I think they take all their frustration out here, and I'm taking the Packers here. Craig, Detroit hooking up against Kansas City here. Detroit is a 2.5-point dog to Kansas City. Detroit is 4-1. Kansas City is 2-3. Kansas City, of course, did lose to Jacksonville 28-31, so that could be the reason why. Maybe the odds makers think Detroit beat Bengals, who are like a blah team. They beat Cleveland, blah team. They beat Baltimore, blah team. They beat the Bears, could be considered a blah team. So they covered 4 in a row. The only competitive team they played was against the Packers, who they lost to 13-27. That is the reason why the line is the way the problem it is, and not to mention the fact that Kansas City comes off of a loss. Do you think it's legitimate? Do you think Kansas City wins? They are 2.5-point chalk here. The public all over Detroit by 2-1.
The Chiefs, remember last year, all the close wins. Like every game was right down to the wire, and they won them all. In the NFL, sometimes, like they say, baseball, you play to the back of your baseball card. So, yeah, early in the year, you might get, a nice hot streak in baseball. And then later, the odds, the numbers end up back where you expect them. Is this Chiefs team going to be able to do that? I don't know. I don't think this Chiefs defense is quite as good as it was last year. Last year, the offense kind of stunk and the defense kind of picked them up. It seems like they're having to do it the opposite way this year. And I do like this offense. I think they're way more talented than last year, the Chiefs, but I think they're going to have to pick it up on defense. They cannot just ask Patrick Mahomes to go out there and just win the game. It almost worked on Monday Night Football, but then the defense let him down, let Trevor Lawrence go right down the field and score, and they lost. I think it's a tough game here. I'm going to chicken out. I'm not taking a side. I would take the Lions if I had to, but I'm taking the over. I just don't believe in this Chiefs defense. They're really, you look at their wins. They beat a Ravens team that you just caught them in a bad spot. The Ravens have not been good. Their only win is against the Browns. So to me, I just don't know how good this KC team is. I mean, they're 2-3 for a reason. I think you take the over 52. I know it's a lot of points. I think it's the highest total of the week for a reason. Detroit can score in bunches. Even losing Johnson, the offensive coordinator, people thought, they take a step back. It has not happened. After the first game, they have been really good on offense. Let's take the over in this game. If I had to lean, you said gun to head, I would take the Lions plus the points. I think you have to fade this Chiefs team until they prove that the defense is ready to step up. All right, that's what we have. A full slate of games for Sunday. Don't forget, there's 2 Monday Night Football games. So if you click right after the video right here on the screen, you can get the Monday Night Football games. Also, if you haven't done so, make sure you get in on that 10% off code to get all of our best plays. Basically, all the plays we give out are in these games. Sometimes, obviously, I might he might have the Lions game and he didn't get it. So make sure you get in on our best plays. Go over there at $99, get you a week pass. Use the 10% off. It's just $89. It's Taco Win 10 to get you 10% off. And also, hey, if you just subscribe here on YouTube, we have 3 different levels for YouTube Premium. We have level 1 is Lenny, level 2 is Indian Cowboy, level 3 is all the cappers, including one of my plays every day. So for $49, $49.99, you get them all 3 levels. Make sure you test it out. Link is in the description. You're not going to get a better value than what that is. All right, guys, that's what we like for today. Have a good day. We'll see you again next week.